Welcome to Oatland Island Wildlife Center of Savannah, Georgia, where the mission is to provide guests with memorable experiences to help them make stronger connections to the natural world. Oatland Island began as a cotton plantation in the 18th century and continued to be privately held until 1927 when it became a retirement home. Shortly thereafter, it was converted into a research hospital and laboratory for what became the CDC. In 1973, the CDC moved the lab to its headquarters in Atlanta, and Oatland Island became government surplus until a local public school teacher petitioned for the school system to use the property as an environmental education center. The center now houses and cares for many animals throughout its 1 3/4 mile nature trail. Today, we will focus on 5 of those species. The first animal we are exploring is Puma concolor, also known as the puma, mountain lion, cougar, or panther. This particular cat is affectionately known to guests and caretakers as Shanti. Cougars can reach 6 to 7 feet in length, with males weighing up to 200 pounds and females up to 130 pounds. These cats have a lifespan of less than 12 years in the wild, but with love and care can live up to 19.5 years in captivity. Populations of cougars are decreasing across the U.S., mostly due to human expansion decreasing their habitat and prohibiting movement across their previous territories, thus isolating the cats into smaller and smaller pockets. Another reason for the decline of these cats' numbers is the sport hunting of them in the western parts of the country. In California, however, the cougar is a specially protected mammal and hunting is prohibited. Cougars are a wide-ranging large cat spread throughout the Americas, making it the most widespread terrestrial carnivore in the Western Hemisphere. They live in forested and shrubland habitats, but can endure from the harsh desert environment of northern Mexico to the humid swamplands of the Florida Everglades, and even all the way to the high altitudes and peaks of the Andes in South America. Despite their vast expansion, the eastern cougar population was almost eradicated by the late 18 and early 1900s. Their range extended through Florida and Georgia and towards the west in Arkansas and Louisiana. A small population of cougars remain on the eastern coast of the U.S. and Florida. This group of cats is known as the Florida panther, Puma concolor cori, endangered but protected with intensive management practices. Cougars are a solitary apex predator that maintains separate territories except during periods of courtship or settling territorial disputes. Mother, daughters, sisters, and aunts can establish home ranges that overlap or are adjacent, while unrelated male cougars spread further out in a given area. They mark their territory by scraping their hind claws on the ground, leaving a unique signature, and through the gouges they leave in trees while maintaining their strong front claws. As cougars tend to take down prey larger than they are, resources are sometimes shared peacefully with their neighbors as they co-feed or alternate eating while the other cougar rests nearby. These large nocturnal cats are obligate carnivores, meaning they must feed on meat to survive. They manage this by stalking and ambushing. They search for their prey primarily through their keen vision and hearing. A lone cougar will then stealthily move closer to the quarry until they attack in a quick rush, using their powerful muscles and sharp claws to bring down the unsuspecting animal. These cats are an opportunistic carnivore that will hunt, kill, and devour both native and invasive prey. Cougars' forelimbs are shorter and heavier than their hind limbs, but have flexible wrists that are perfect for climbing high trees. Their longer hind limbs can propel the cats up to 45 feet forward or 15 feet in the air. The long, strong tail on a cougar helps them to maintain their balance when climbing or leaping. Despite their large appearance, cougars are classified as a small cat. This is often experienced through the sounds they make. They do not roar as lions or tigers do, but instead hiss, growl, mew, and even purr. Their offspring are called kittens, and mother cougars tend to have 3 to 4 kittens in a litter. Cougars like Shanti are known for being very curious and highly adaptive to changes in their environment. Sleeping is one of the cougar's most vulnerable behavior states. They tend to choose bedsites to escape either predation, as in the case of those in areas like Yellowstone, where they compete with wolves and bears for resources, or for thermoregulation. See as Shanti takes his naps in the shade of the palm trees of his enclosure, or under his wooden platform to escape the Savannah heat, which can reach over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer months. But come cooler weather, Shanti may be seen sneaking and stalking guests. He is a very playful cat. The mighty wolf was at one time the most widely distributed mammal in the world. The wolves at Oatland Island are gray wolves. These creatures are found in a rapidly expanding range in the west from Canada into the Pacific Northwest and Midwest of the United States, all the way down to the deserts and shrublands of New Mexico and Arizona, and east into the forests of Kentucky. Once exterminated from the contiguous U.S., except Minnesota and Michigan, the gray wolf can now be found inhabiting any state as long as there is plenty of food. A hearty meal for the wolf usually consists of various species of deer, ungulates, or livestock animals. The southeastern states of the U.S. are home to a subspecies of the gray wolf, the red wolf, or Canis lupus rufus. This subspecies is classified as endangered. Although these wolves are called gray, colors can vary from white to black to a mixture of gray and brown, as well as both dark and light gray. Gray wolves are the largest species of the genus Canis, and despite their resemblance to Siberian Huskies or Alaskan Malamutes, these dogs are far larger than their furry friends we have in our homes. They are also distinguishable by the way they carry their tail out straight behind them as they move. Wolves are a social mammal that live in groups called packs. These packs usually consist of 4 to 12 individuals, of which are a monogamous breeding male and female pair and their offspring. Some packs can reach 36 members if there is enough food to be found. Together, as a pack, wolves hunt socially, participate in group care of their young pups, and defend their food and territory. They rely on the cooperation between packmates for survival. The pack is aligned in a linear hierarchy by gender. By living with their parents for several years in their family pack, young wolves have time to mature and perfect their hunting abilities. By 1 to 4 years of age, the young wolves are mature enough to disperse from the pack. They may roam hundreds of miles to join another established pack or to start their own. The wolves at Oatland are siblings arriving from the same litter as pups. As there are no dominant breeding pair, this pack has more fluidity in leadership roles. 2 of the males, Suwani and Ogechi, trade off in leadership duties. Their sister Satilla and other brother Oconee do not participate in this posturing. Only being 3 years of age, they still have time to determine their role in the little pack, as they may live up to 17 years in captivity. Hunting as a pack, wolves work together to ambush their prey or to chase prey down in a continuous relay chase. When they ambush, part of the pack will give chase while the rest of the group hides and wait for the prey before they quickly surround and bring down the animal. Relay chase involves cooperative running where each pack member takes turn giving chase in a collective behavior similar to a track relay event. Unlike athletes who win medals and glory, the wolf's prize is dinner. Wolves stroll at 3 to 5 miles per hour, but can clock in top speeds of over 40 miles per hour. 2 to 3-year-old wolves are the most athletic of the pack and have the highest probability of success during hunts. Fortunately, all pack members aid each other to benefit the whole. It is hard to bring down large ungulates like moose and bison without the help of at least 2 or 3 friends. Wolves are the apex predator in any ecosystem, as most other predators will give way to a pack of large wolves. As an opportunistic predator, a hungry pack may even hunt down another predator should their usual food become scarce. Communication throughout the pack and to other packs in the area is made through vocalization, scent marking, and postural display. Postural displays mostly occur in facial features. Of course, wolves' most famous communication method is howling. Howling advertises the presence of one pack to another. Wolves have also been known to bark, whine, yap, and growl like the domestic dog. Though wolves are highly talkative, no communication skill is needed for a successful hunt. Males are larger than females and tend to have a more significant role when interacting with another group. They are also more likely than females to participate in aggressive behaviors. Aggressive behavior should not be confused with offensive play. Wolves from pups to adults will engage in social play between age groups or with the same age counterparts. This play can include play biting, chasing, and charging, as is demonstrated by Ogechi and Oconee here. Most of the wolves' activity occurs during the night. Even in the Arctic, where there is 24 hours of daylight, they'll be most active between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. The wolves here are located in the humid, hot environment of the intercoastal waterway. They spend most of the summer lounging in the shade or taking dips into the water feature of their exhibit. Bow, Odie, and Teal are the resident bobcats, otherwise known as Lynx rufus, at Oatland Island. They are siblings born in South Carolina to a wild bobcat mother who disappeared when the abandoned house they were living in was torn down. Bobcats are found throughout North America, much like the cougar. As cougar populations fluctuate, the bobcat is sometimes the most widespread North American felid. They live in the dense forests, central plains, and maritime of Canada, all the way down to Florida and Mexico. The only place these cats are not found is in the Great Lakes region and Delaware due to the dense urbanization, persecution by humans, and overtrapping for their dense golden fur. Their northern boundary is primarily set by snow depth, as they are a smaller cat and cannot travel across dense snow. Bobcats live in swamps and arid scrub to grasslands, parklands, and temperate forests. If there is room for a den and plenty of food, a bobcat could be found nearby. Bobcats like to have a thick cover of grasses or bushes as they are a shyer predator. This is exhibited by Teal, Odie, and Bow, who frequently appear to be missing from their enclosure due to their amazing camouflage to the native flora of Savannah. Bobcats can be found throughout the state of Georgia, in the longleaf pines of the southwest region of the state, to Cumberland Island, where they were released in the 1980s to re-establish a colony on the island. Males tend to range in a larger area than females, but male ranges are constrained by the size of the female ranges and the number of mating opportunities. In parts of the U.S., ranges are affected by seasonality. In the southeast, however, there are no changes due to lack of seasonal variability. If a bobcat leaves its range or passes, other bobcats will take over their range within days. A solitary carnivore, the bobcat tends to have infrequent and brief interactions with their neighbors. Neighbors may move through each other's ranges with toleration. Males will find females for breeding and then move on. The lengthiest interaction a bobcat will have is between a female and her kittens. The mother creates a den in a cave, under a fallen tree, or in a natural opening in a pile of rocks. She lines the den in moss or dried vegetation. Here she raises her kittens to be independent. Unlike the cougar, the young of a bobcat quickly disperse, with females ranging away from their mothers and other siblings. The bobcat is a small cat, only twice the size of a domestic cat, with yellowish to reddish brown fur covered in numerous black spots. The northern cats tend to be larger than those found in the southeast. Of the bobcats here at Oatland, Teal is the more dilute-coated cat, while Odie has a bolder coat. As a small cat, Bobcats purr, meow, hiss, spit, and growl like the domestic cat. Because it is not a domestic cat, these sounds are a little different. Bobcats carry their tails in a jaunty upward bend when they are moving at a slow, zigzagging, walking pace around their range. With their keen eyesight and hearing, they can detect their prey. Much like the domestic cat and cougar, the bobcat is a sprinter and will not attack until they are within 30 feet of their prey. They stalk low, upwind from their prey, taking advantage of any scrap of cover, and then pounce or ambush the unsuspecting animal. They feed on ungulates, like deer, rodents, squirrels, birds, raccoons, or even porcupines. They may also take advantage of a larger mammal being the victim of a motor accident, or insects when food is scarce. Adults are more likely to be successful hunters than subadults or juveniles. They compete with cougars for prey, but, being smaller, may have to give way to a foraging cougar. They often escape by climbing trees. Bobcats also spend time in trees for rest. They scratch and stretch against tree roots and trunks. Adults can also be found sunbathing or resting in tall grass. They spend the rest of their time ranging their territory that they mark with scat and urine, or by rubbing their mouth glands on territorial landmarks. Bobcats are usually most active around sunrise and sunset. They do like to move around in winter during the day to take advantage of the sun's warmth, however. They can be found active at any time of the day or night. Like the rest of the animals at Oatland, teal, odie, and bow do not seem to be very active during the summer visiting hours, given the intense heat and humidity of Savannah. Here we have the red-tailed hawk, one of the most common and widespread North American raptors. This hawk is known as RTH, or Artemis. Before coming to Oatland, Artemis sustained a wing injury followed by negative contact with humans, making this hawk a little shyer and hesitant than other red-tailed hawks held in captivity. The red-tailed hawk range follows the same pattern as our other carnivores, with variation based on food availability. They employ a generalist feeding strategy, which opens up a wide variety of diverse habitats. Hawks' ranges tend to be oval or circular in shape. Human disturbances can alter a range as we provide territorial pressure. Perches are a key feature of a raptor's home range, but for the red-tailed hawk they are especially important as they are a visual perch hunter. This means that over half of their hunting is done through sitting on a perch and looking out for a prey till a meal is spotted. From there they swoop down from the perch to catch it on their sharp talons. Hawks primarily eat mice, rodents, voles, poultry, game birds, and squirrels. Their amazing eyesight allows them to spot a mouse as high up as 1,000 feet in the air. As you can see in all raptor exhibits at Oatland, these non-flighted birds, all of which have sustained wing injuries, have several perches to choose from in their enclosure. In California, hawks may perch upon digger pines for their height and open crown, while in Georgia they may use the tall loblolly pines. The only places where these birds are not found is the Arctic regions of Canada and Alaska, where there are no trees for them to perch. They occupy semi-open to open habitats of woodlands, prairies, deserts, farmlands, suburban and urban areas, plains and montane grasslands, scrub desert, and tropical rainforest. They also exhibit habitat preference per individual bird based on their choice of prey and perch. Some hawks go back to the same site every year as long as the resources are still available. Red-tailed hawks have even adapted to urban environments. They have begun using man-made surfaces for nesting and love using roadways for their ranges. The utility poles and trees planted along the roads are ideal high, open perches, and the grassy margins are home to prey the hawks prefer. If they get lucky, they can also pick up some roadkill without doing any work themselves. Red-tailed hawks live alone. When it comes to the breeding season, however, they form a mated pair. Each of the birds brood the eggs for about a month until they hatch. Both adult birds will aggressively defend their nest from any perceived threat or disturbance. When they are defending, the hawks may vocalize their calls to distract the threat in order to make their chicks less conspicuous and deter the would-be predator. As relatively long-lived birds, living 10 to 15 years, they can have several breeding seasons. These hawks, when not perched high in trees, soar in slow, relaxed circles when searching for prey. While their flight patterns may seem lazy, red-tailed hawks can drop quickly from the sky to secure their next meal. In the summer, wind speeds can increase, with more abundant updrafts than in other seasons, so hawks may hunt more airily than from perching as it requires less effort for them to drift in the wind. Like most birds, the red-tailed hawk spends a good portion of their day preening. This is done by stroking their feathers with their bill or talons. This action smooths the surfaces of the feathers while repairing small splits. The feathers are rearranged to their normal configuration and cleaned of any debris and parasites. Artemis can usually be found resting in the back corner of his enclosure, either watching guests or preening. Don't be confused between a red-tailed and red-shouldered hawk, though. They are completely different species, but at Oatland, these two are neighbors. On June 20th, 1782, Congress declared the bald eagle to be the national symbol of the United States of America. Thus, the large white-headed bird became synonymous with this great nation. Oatland's bald eagles are known as Arnold and Francesca. Like Artemis and the other birds at Oatland, these two sustained injuries in the wild that prevented them from being re-released. These injuries to their wings make it difficult for them to fly and balance, hence the many perches and roosts for these birds to rest. Bald eagles are found throughout the U.S., though their populations were once nearly decimated by the use of pesticides, in particular DDT. These chemicals cause the eggshells of the eagles to become too thin to support the incubating chicks and led to many years of unsuccessful live births. Now the bald eagle populations are growing and can be found in numbers across Canada, the U.S., and northern Mexico. Some are even residents of the Florida Keys. The bald eagle has a northern and southern variety. The southern birds, found in Georgia, Florida, and towards Texas with some in Arizona, California, and Oklahoma, are smaller than their northern counterparts. The northern variety is found everywhere else with the most abundant population in Alaska. Bald eagles are known to be both residents of an area and migratory. Subadult and juvenile eagles are larger than their parents with longer wing and tail feathers suited to longer flights. They may migrate from Florida in the southeast to the Chesapeake Bay area. Adults have shorter and thinner feathers on their wings and tail as they have settled down and prefer to spend more time resting and residing in the same territory for years. The bald eagle's scientific name can be broken down to mean sea eagle with a white head. This name attests to these birds being found inhabiting the shores of oceans, rivers, and large lakes. They also do not attain their characteristic white head and tail plumage until they are at least 4 or 5 years old. Their primary diet consists of fish, though they may also consume waterfowl and small mammals if fish don't meet their needs. They are known for being an agile raptor, which makes them great fishermen. But to conserve their valuable energy, they try to find food in the easiest way possible, so they may be seen as kleptoparasites. This means that they may steal prey from other birds and mammals rather than hunting for themselves. Bald eagles fly in slow wing beats and soar with their wings level to their bodies. Bald eagles, like the bonded pair Francesca and Arnold, typically pair for the breeding season or even for life. This begins when they are around 4 to 5 years of age. This pairing begins with a complex courtship, one of the most vocal raptors. The eagles will call loudly and chase each other. Eagles are also known to vocalize primarily around other eagles. A distinguishing feature of an eagle's courtship is the cartwheel. The pair fly into each other, lock talons, and then free fall to the earth in a spinning fashion. Rather like a cartwheel, a feather-raising, potentially deadly cartwheel. Right before they tumble into the ground, they release their talons and soar off. Both the males and females tend to the nest and brood their young, but the females tend to take on the brunt of the family raising. These birds build their nests in tall trees, usually pines. Their nests are of the largest of the native birds of the U.S. and are built of sticks, and lined with grass, feathers, pine needles, and moss. They may return to the same nest year after year, adding to the existing structure for up to 30 years. If resources are scarce in their home, they will find a new site. These heavy nests hold 2 to 3 eggs, but if they lose a clutch, a pair may replace it. Francesca and Arnold lay an unfertilized clutch every year, but they are not removed from the nest to prevent this re-clutching phenomenon. In the South, eagles may leave their eggs for longer periods of time as the climate is warmer and milder and favorable to the eggs. Eagles who are not brooding may form communal night roosts, but this is done more often in winter than in summer. As of the present, the bald eagle is no longer on the endangered species list and is a well-known raptor throughout the U.S. and world. They can be found on the coast vocalizing to other birds, or in Francesca and Arnold's case, to the guests here at the wonderful Oatland Island Wildlife Center.